Presiding over an open debate at the UN Security Council on Wednesday, President Lee Jae-myung called for joint efforts to ensure the responsible use of AI. He'll wrap up his 5-day New York trip by meeting with Wall Street investors at the New York Stock Exchange. South Korea's opposition People Power Party has launched a filibuster at the National Assembly, blocking key legislation despite a last-minute attempt between the floor leaders to strike a deal. According to Seoul's Unification Minister, North Korea is presumed to have up to 2,000 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, and that's enough to produce roughly 200 bombs. President Lee Jae-myung on Wednesday led a UN Security Council open debate, having become the first South Korean head of state to do so. There, he said South Korea will play a greater role in promoting what he calls responsible use of artificial intelligence. Our top office correspondent Yoon Jung-min reports from New York.
In a time of emerging technology coupled with growing uncertainty, an international dialogue on AI took place at a major platform for multilateral diplomacy. As chair of a UN Security Council open debate, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung started off the session by explaining the significance of the gathering.
오늘날 인공지능 기술의 발전은 우리의 일상을 변화시키는 것을 넘어 국제적인 안보 환경까지 급격하게 변화시키고 있습니다. 이제 인공지능이라는 새로운 위협과 도전에 걸맞는 새로운 거버넌스를 모색해야 될 때입니다.
South Korea assumed the rotating presidency of the UN Security Council this month, and Lee is the first South Korean president to preside over the debate as chair. Drawing a parallel between AI and a tiger cub, President Lee urged the need to use AI to benefit humanity, not to harm it. He called for international unity to uphold the principle of responsible use of AI and emphasized the role of the Security Council, as well as Korea's contribution.
대한민국은 글로벌 책임 강국으로서 AI가 인류의 지속 가능한 미래를 만드는 훌륭한 도구가 될 수 있도록 국제사회와의 협력을 주도하는 길에 앞장설 것입니다.
The wake-up call was echoed by world leaders, including the United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, noting the recent establishment of an international scientific panel on AI and a global dialogue on AI governance by the General Assembly.
I will soon launch an open call for nominations for the scientific panel. I also call on governments and stakeholders to engage fully in the global dialogue and to shape inclusive, human rights-based global norms.
Wednesday's session was organized under the theme of artificial intelligence and international peace and security. More international discussions on the future of AI will be held next month, when South Korea hosts the APEC leaders meeting in the city of Gyeongju. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News, New York.
And President Lee couldn't have stressed enough just how much his country is committed to leading international cooperation to make sure AI becomes a tool to build a sustainable future for humanity. Our Oh Soo-young has more on Korea's AI diplomacy.
Setting the agenda on artificial intelligence, South Korea is leading the global discussion on how to govern its risks and implications. President Lee Jae-myung's chairing of the United Nations Security Council open debate on Wednesday highlights the country's efforts to set universal standards on the all-pervasive technology, as rapid advances in AI presents both opportunities and challenges for international peace and security. This comes crucially at a time when larger powers are divided in geopolitical tension and rivalry, according to international relations expert Park Won-gon.
In this kind of a context, our President Lee Jae-myung's leading role in the AI is very important because we could not see any kind of continue of the dialogue about how to restrain, limit the AI because AI is such a powerful mean and powerful mechanism to change the human histories.
Seoul hosted the AI Safety Summit last year, bringing leaders together to establish that progress in AI should empower humanity. The Seoul Declaration sets out safety, innovation and inclusion as key pillars in AI development and calls for collaboration among countries, firms, academia and civil society to cultivate democratic AI ecosystems. In doing so, 16 global AI tech companies, including Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta and OpenAI, signed the Frontier AI Safety Commitments, which feature risk management, transparency and accountability. On the security front, South Korea co-hosted 2 summits with the Netherlands on responsible AI in the military domain to develop global frameworks for the ethical application of AI in defense amid growing cyber and hybrid warfare. The 2 countries last year jointly tabled the first ever resolution on military AI, which was adopted with overwhelming support from 165 countries. Going forward, South Korea will once again host a global discussion among world leaders and CEOs at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation meeting in Gyeongju next month. According to the Foreign Ministry, Korea is drafting the APEC AI initiative, which will outline a shared regional vision on innovation-driven growth, strengthening capacity for AI transformation, and encouraging sustainable investment in AI infrastructure. The Foreign Ministry said Wednesday, building on the Yi administration's vision of contributing to a global AI-based society, Seoul will continue to participate in multilateral discussions as a leading country in global AI governance. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Staying in New York, President Lee Jae-myung held a bilateral summit with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni on the margins of the UN General Assembly. During Wednesday's talks, Lee urged deeper cooperation with Italy in AI and the defense industry based on their strategic partnership. Meloni reportedly expressed hopes of visiting South Korea to materialize their cooperation and invited her South Korean counterpart to Italy. The South Korean leader also held talks with Polish President Karol Nawrocki. They agreed to further expand cooperation in the defense industry, focusing on tanks, while President Lee said he hopes to expand collaboration on Poland's submarine acquisition program. Meanwhile, President Lee's planned meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron was cancelled due to scheduling issues. Also in New York, President Lee met with U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to discuss ongoing trade negotiations between Seoul and Washington. Our top office correspondent, Song Yoo-jin, who's traveling with the president, tells us more.
President Lee Jae-myung and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, one of the leading voices of the Trump administration's tariff strategy, met on Wednesday at South Korea's permanent mission to the United Nations. According to the president's chief of policy, Kim Yong-bum, Lee focused on South Korea's pledged $350 billion investment package, a key part of the negotiations to lower U.S. tariffs.
President Lee said he hopes the negotiations will move forward based on commercial rationality and in a way that benefits both countries. He also explained that South Korea differs significantly from Japan in terms of economic scale, foreign exchange reserves, and financial infrastructure, factors he hopes will be considered.
Trade talks have stalled over how that package should be structured. Washington is pushing for most of the investment to be made in cash, similar to the deal it reached with Japan, while Seoul prefers guarantees and loans to help ease its financial burden. $350 billion would account for more than 80% of South Korea's foreign exchange reserves. Japan, by contrast, holds more than double that amount and maintains a currency swap line with the United States. Because of that difference, President Lee has voiced concerns over a heavily equity-based investment without safeguards such as a currency swap.
Unlimited currency swap is a basic prerequisite. Without it, the shock to our economy would be far too great, such as a potential foreign exchange crisis that the president mentioned. If that issue isn't resolved, we simply can't move on.
Kim said Secretary Bessent responded by promising to discuss those concerns with the relevant agencies.
Now, the South Korea's auto exports continue to face 25% tariffs compared to 15% for Japan, following Tokyo's deal with Washington. Eyes are on how Seoul will conclude a trade agreement that is, quote, rational, mutually beneficial, and is in the national interest. 송유진, 아리랑 뉴스, 뉴욕.
The National Assembly is once again at a standstill after the opposition launched a filibuster to block key legislation. Now, at the heart of the standoff is a controversial bill that would dismantle the prosecutor's office. Our Moon Hae-ryun reports.
The main opposition, People Power Party, launched a filibuster at the National Assembly, blocking key legislation despite last-minute attempts between the floor leaders to strike a deal. During Thursday's plenary session, the ruling Democratic Party pushed forward 4 contentious bills, starting with a proposed amendment to the Government Organization Act. Under the plan, the prosecutor's office will be dismantled and replaced by 2 new agencies, one under the Ministry of Justice to handle indictments and the other under the Ministry of Interior to oversee investigations. The Finance Ministry too will be split into 2 different departments. The PPP called the move reckless, warning that it could cause chaos without a clear plan for current and future personnel. Meanwhile, the DP defended the bill as an essential reform to fulfill a campaign pledge.
Reorganizing the government is a necessary step to honor the administration's pledge to the people. We urge the opposition to cooperate so this reform can move swiftly.
It is a highly emotional, retaliatory restructuring. This hasty organizational overhaul is driven by hatred and a desire for revenge against prosecutors.
Before the session, ruling party government and presidential officials held emergency talks, dropping plans to split the Financial Services Commission and create a new consumer protection agency. They said financial governance should not become a political flashpoint, warning that uncertainty could hinder efforts to tackle economic crises. While the PPP had initially threatened filibusters against all the proposed bills, in the end it decided to do so for only the 4 contentious bills backed by the DP. Under Assembly rules, a filibuster can be shut down after 24 hours with a 3/5 vote, limiting lawmakers to 1 bill a day. As a result, the DP will be aiming to pass its Government Organization Act amendments on Friday, before turning to the remaining 3 contentious bills, 1 on broadcasting and 2 on National Assembly rules. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
In other news, North Korea could have up to 2,000 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, Seoul's Unification Minister said on Thursday. Our Park Jun-han has more.
Unification Minister Chung Dong-young, citing experts' estimates, claimed on Thursday that North Korea's highly enriched uranium stockpile amounts to as much as 2,000 kilograms. Chung emphasized that, as such, forcing North Korea to abandon its nuclear program through sanctions would be impossible. Chung claimed that just 5 to 6 kilograms of plutonium is enough to make 1 nuclear bomb, adding that 2,000 kilograms of highly enriched uranium could yield an enormous quantity of nuclear weapons. Minister Chung made this statement during a press briefing at the Seoul government complex, referring to President Lee Jae-myung's 3-step denuclearization strategy, which Lee outlined in a keynote address at a high-level meeting at the 80th UN General Assembly. On inter-Korean relations, Chung reiterated the government's pragmatic 2-state approach, stressing that recognizing North Korea as a de facto state does not mean permanent division. Chung stressed that South and North Korea are de facto 2 states, already 2 states under international law. The reality is, at least 50 to 60% of the population answers that North Korea is a state. However, recognizing 2 states does not mean permanent division. It means recognizing statehood within the special relationship that has emerged during the provisional process of moving toward unification. He further argued this is a realistic, pragmatic perspective and a flexible view of inter-Korean relations. The Lee Jae-myung administration's national agenda includes concluding an inter-Korean basic agreement, which is a recognition of the 2 states. The Lee Jae-myung administration's 3-step approach to reducing military tensions and restoring inter-Korean trust includes a stop in the sophistication of nuclear and missile capabilities, going through a reduction process, and reaching dismantlement. This approach echoes the END initiative proposed by President Lee at the UN General Assembly on Tuesday, short for Exchange, Normalization, and denuclearization. Park Junan, Arirang News.
As South Korea and Egypt celebrate 30 years of diplomatic ties this year, the Korean wave Hallyu is booming in Egypt. Led by the passionate younger generation, K-pop is sparking a curiosity in all things Korean. Our An Sung-jin was there.
In a dance studio in New Cairo, one of BTS's hit songs, Bulletproof, pulses through the floor. 6 dancers from local dance crew The Groove move in unison. It's more than choreography, it's a shared dream.
Just like from the first class, I was just like, yeah, this is it. This is gonna be my dream. I won't ever let go of it. What makes me passionate about it is how different and diverse it is.
A love for K-pop, and by extension for Korea, binds these performers together. Their journey reached a high note when they won first place at the Egyptian finals of the K-pop World Festival.
I wanted to show people what K-pop really is and spread it because it's special, unlike any other dance. I want to become a well-known dancer worldwide. It'll take time, but I'll keep practicing. I'm not going to stop.
Across Egypt, K-pop has become more than a niche fandom. Earlier this year, Cairo hosted its first ever K-pop concert, a milestone that reflects the genre's rising popularity. But the Korean wave is about more than just K-pop. The King Sejong Institute, a Korean language center, has opened its 3rd branch in Egypt this year, with growing demand fueled by curiosity in Korean culture. To understand the pull of Korea on Egypt's youth, I spoke with the Egyptian ambassador to Korea. Now we see from K-pop to the Korean language itself, what do you think drives this fascination among the Egyptian youth population to like Korea or to enjoy Korean culture so much?
These young Egyptians, they are keen to learn the Korean language because they are in love. They have passion for Korea through what they see in the media and in the drama. The Korean culture is very popular in Egypt.
But as the ambassador also mentioned, these cultural exchange could lead to economic benefits too.
This is very good for Korean companies seeking to establish their offices and representation office in Egypt, or even their factories for manufacturing and co-production in Egypt, to hire young Egyptians who can speak Korean and Arabic.
The bond between Korea and Egypt shows how far music, language, and stories can travel. Sometimes 9,000 kilometers straight to the heart. An Sung-jin, Arirang News, Cairo.
Korean boy band Stray Kids continues to have the highest K-pop physical album sales record in the U.S. this year. Stray Kids has sold over 1 million in the U.S. this year, combining sales of Karma with those of their previously released albums. Stray Kids' album Karma has sold a total of 392,899 copies in the U.S. from January 3rd until September 19th, according to music and entertainment market researcher Illuminate. The boy band has also dominated the Billboard main album chart, Billboard 200, becoming the first artist in the world to enter the top spot with 7 consecutive albums since its debut. ESG principles are transforming global policies and driving innovation across industries. Understanding their practical application is now paramount for sustained competitiveness. For more on this, we have our economics correspondent Moon Ji-young here in studio. Welcome back, Ji-young.
Good to be here, Dami.
So, Ji-young, Seoul is currently holding its premier environmental exhibition to showcase a wide array of green innovations. You fill us in.
Indeed, the ESG Eco-Friendly Expo, hosted by the Ministry of Environment, kicked off its 3-day run in Seoul yesterday. This year, it serves as a hub for groundbreaking innovations from sustainable lifestyle products to advanced AI technologies. Among the highlights are cutting-edge AI technologies, such as AI-driven waste sorting robots and resource circulation recovery robots that precisely identify and pick out recyclable waste using AI and the Internet of Things. The expo also features a diverse array of eco-friendly products and technologies vital to daily life, such as safety shoes made from discarded tires and food tech solutions that leverage AI big data to cut down on food waste. Another impressive innovation includes a product that stores and reuses rainwater using a non-powered, electricity-free method. These comprehensive efforts and ingenious solutions offer a clear glimpse into a greener, more sustainable future, not just for Korea, but globally.
So this green trend likely isn't confined to Korea. Then how are global ESG regulatory trends evolving, and what should our domestic companies be paying attention to?
Well, the global landscape for ESG trends is rapidly evolving. While some major economies are pushing forward with stringent regulations, others are taking a more cautious approach, creating a diverse regulatory environment. In the European Union, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive has already been transposed by 19 member states. Mandatory CSRD-based disclosures for large companies began this year, with non-EU companies to follow. Notably, regulatory easing proposals this year suggest implementation flexibility. Meanwhile, Japan is advancing mandatory disclosure for large prime market companies. The U.S. presents a mixed picture. While federal disclosure mandates remain on hold, state-level initiatives, notably California's CARB regulations, are advancing, creating a fragmented yet impactful regulatory environment. One expert emphasized the enduring significance of these trends for Korean companies.
While President Trump claims that the ESG crisis or climate change is a lie, states like California are deeply committed to these initiatives. The EU's Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive is already in full swing. This means Korean companies with certain revenue thresholds exporting to the EU must conduct due diligence and report on their ESG compliance. Failure to do so will result in export cutoffs.
This divergent global landscape demands proactive strategic adaptation from Korean companies to ensure competitiveness. The expert further underscored the economic ramifications.
With the U.S. market already challenging due to tariffs, a similar hindrance in Europe would be a fatal blow. That's why this is crucial for Korean companies to focus intensely on ESG matters, especially regarding supply chain due diligence for the European market.
Well, given these diverse global ESG regulatory shifts, what about Korea? I mean, how is the Lee Jae-myung government tackling these challenges through its national policy agendas?
Well, the Lee administration has deeply embedded its ESG principles into its national policies, showcasing a comprehensive approach. A key feature is that ESG is not merely confined to specific sectors, but rather serves as a core framework encompassing the entire economy, society, and politics. Korea's environmental strategy centers on carbon neutrality and a circular economy. The Ministry of Environment aims to meet the 2030 national greenhouse gas reduction target, establish advanced 2035 goals, and chart a 2050 carbon neutrality roadmap. Plans also boost industrial carbon competitiveness and accelerate EV transition. For the social sector, policies underscore the importance of inclusive management, covering labor rights and enhanced consumer protection. Regarding governance, key national policy agendas address crucial issues like shareholder value, personal information protection, and fair trade. On this, we have some insights from the same expert.
Amendments to the Commercial Act secured board independence by prioritizing shareholder-centric duties and implementing mechanisms like an independent director system. With the addition of treasury share cancellation, these changes mark a truly groundbreaking transformation for governance and minority shareholder protection.
These comprehensive reforms highlight Korea's dedication to robust ESG practices and its commitment to fostering a more sustainable and transparent business environment.
Indeed, Jeong, thank you as always for your coverage tonight.
Thank you for having me.
It has rained a lot all over the country since yesterday. Most of the rain in the central parts of the country has stopped, but there are some areas where the rain continues. The Jeolla-do provinces will continue to have rain until tomorrow evening. The amount of rainfall by the end of today is 20 to 60 millimeters in the Jeolla-do provinces. In addition, it will rain again in Gyeongsangnam-do province and Jeju Island tomorrow as well. Most parts of the country will have rain on Sunday, starting with the Chungcheong-do provinces and southern regions from Saturday. Seoul and Daejeon will start off at 18 degrees, Gyeongju at 20 degrees. Daily highs will rise up to 27 degrees in Seoul, Daejeon, and Gwangju, 29 degrees in Daegu. The daytime temperature in Seoul will drop to 22 degrees Celsius with rain on Sunday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.